Hello everyone, I'm your instructor, Erin O'Keefe, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of Module 1 in this video. So each week I'm going to make a video that will just go over the module. The videos are pretty important because it takes the place of what I would talk about in the classroom, and so I can give you not only an overview of the assignments, but some of the tips for completing the assignments. A lot of times I end up answering questions that students have in the videos themselves, so it's really important to be looking for these. I post these videos in the announcement, and then I also post them in the module. So every time the new module starts, I'll post an announcement about the module and then with the video link, and then I will also post the video in the module overview so that you have two places that you can look at it. I try to keep the videos fairly short as well so that it doesn't take a lot of your time to watch the video and listen to me, and I will just show you then on my screen what it looks like from a student view, so what you will see when you log into the class. So if you are new to Canvas, this is what it will look like when you log into the home page. New announcements will appear right here. It's really important that you continually check into the class. I will post at least one announcement every week, if not more. And so, especially since this is a summer class, we work fairly quickly through the information. So make sure that you are checking regularly. Syllabus over here on the side, make sure that you look at the syllabus and the course at a glance. Those are two really important documents for keeping track of stuff in the class. In particular, make sure that you look at the syllabus at the late work policy, because it is a little bit different for a summer class. The next place that you'll go, of course, is the modules, and this is the start of the class. If you are new to Allen, you want to go through the Getting Started module because this will give you some information on accessing your email and things like that. Really important. That way you don't get lost or you don't miss anything that you needed in your email. Once you're done with a module, you can click on the little triangle and minimize it so you don't have to look through all of that again. Academic honesty, you'll want to go through this module at some point in module 1 because you will have a quiz over this information. So a lot of that is stuff that students have learned before, but it's always nice to have a refresher. So this is module 1. Module 1 is sort of half introductory stuff and then half the first essay. So generally I don't like to have a first essay in the first module. That's a lot of pressure on students, but because this is a summer class, we don't have a whole lot of room for expansion, and so instead this essay will end up being in the first module. So keep that in mind. It is a lot to do for this right here at the beginning. Look at the policy for late work as well, and then I will be posting this announcement, but if you add the class late, make sure that you email me immediately. So the first two assignments that you'll complete, the welcome email assignment and the introduction discussion board, are just introductory ones that you probably have done at other classes. The welcome email is just to make sure that you know how to use your email, particularly if you're new to Allen. So you can either send this through Canvas. Your Canvas inbox is over here on the side, by the way, and you can use that if you want to. Some students really like using it through Canvas. It keeps all of their class stuff together. However, if you don't have it set up to get notifications, you won't see the response unless you actually log into Canvas. So just keep that in mind. You can also send me an email through your Allen email. I do encourage you to actually log into your Allen email and check it out. So those are your two options there, and you're just including this information in your email helps me get to know you just a little bit better as a student. And the other thing that you'll do, of course, is your introduction discussion board, which is a fairly standard one where you post about yourself and then reply to 2 students. So those are fairly simple and easy assignments to do right away. There's an overview of the writing basics, and that is for those of you who maybe have not had a writing class for a while or have not had a college level writing class or a really challenging writing class. You may want to go over this information in your textbooks. You have 2 textbooks. One of them is the Patterns book, which is a reader as well as information on the different patterns of college writing. And then Rules for Writers is our handbook that includes the grammar information as well as the documentation information. So we'll be using both of those books in this class. Information on getting textbooks is in the Getting Started module. Once you've gone through all of that, you'll take your first quiz. This is over academic honesty. It is over the academic honesty module that was right there at the beginning of the list. You want to go through it and then take the quiz. You are allowed an unlimited number of attempts, so I do encourage you to, if you don't get a perfect score, try it again. It will just record the highest score. Then we get into the second part of the first module, which is writing the first essay. You're writing a narrative essay as your first one. I always start with this one in my classes because students, I think, just in general, have an easier time writing about themselves than about topics that they have to do research on. So you will be reading out of the book, the patterns book. You're going to be reading the chapter on narration because you are writing a narrative essay. So I want you to read the whole chapter there. There's also some information that might be useful for you in the Rules for Writers textbook. You will also want to look through the beginning part of the description chapter in chapter 7 because you will be using description in your narrative essay. So you're writing a narrative essay, but you're using some of the concepts and techniques in the description chapter within that essay. So the idea with the narrative essay is that you're choosing an event that has happened to you, and your three key features that you're going to include are the description of places and people and that kind of thing, the narration, which is the telling of the story, so you have a story arc that you'll go through, and then dialogue, which is what people said during the event. And so you're going to pick an event, preferably one that you remember pretty well. Should be something that's unique to you as a person. A lot of students immediately pick, a death of a loved one or birth or something like that, which is their life-altering events that a lot of people experience. And so if you want to make the essay maybe a little bit more personal, you might think about just something a little bit different. And there's a lot of good ideas out there, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And so you want to pick something that happened to you. This needs to be a brief event. We're looking at something that happened within a day or less because we need to focus the essay. If you choose your entire trip to Hawaii or something, then you might be writing way too much for this assignment. We're trying to focus on the one day. So it might be, you might pick your one day, your trip to Hawaii when you got to go snorkeling or something like that, or maybe you were bit by a shark or something. So something that happened that was the most critical part of that entire thing would be a good one to choose. So just think about what was it about that event that really affected you, and can you isolate that incident, because we want a specific incident, as specific as possible. It works best for this essay. You're going to be telling the story. Of course, that's the narration, that's the entire essay, but you also want to make sure that you can build the suspense for the reader. This might be emotional suspense or it might be dramatic suspense depending on your topic. And you have a specific language. You'll be using both objective and subjective description, which is the description chapter. You want to include a little bit of dialogue, at least two things that people said, and you don't necessarily have to be really accurate with what they might have said if you can't remember that well, but you can include something like what they might have said. This essay is not set up like a traditional essay because you're telling a story. You don't necessarily need a thesis in the introduction. A lot of times students include the thesis in the conclusion. Your thesis is why this event was significant to you. So what is it? How did you change from it? A lot of times that ends up in the conclusion because if you're telling a story, you don't want the moral of the story at the beginning, you want it at the end, right? We need to hear the story first. So it's a little bit different from your traditional essay structure. And so a lot of students start their essay, their introduction is just giving some background information. Maybe they tell us, it was July 14th, 1982 or something, and then they explain the background of what was happening leading up to the event, and then they they tell the story of what happened, and then the conclusion tells us what they learned from it, and that is where your implied thesis goes. Obviously, first person, you're not writing about yourself in the third person because that's weird, and you're also not writing about the reader, which would be using second person you. So instead, you're using I because the essay is about you. The other thing to remember is it does need to be an event that happened to you. And so sometimes I have students who pick a topic where it's something that happened to someone else. And so then it makes writing the essay difficult. So make sure that you're picking something that happened to you. Essay resources here. I have a video that walks you step by step through the process of writing this essay. I also have some ideas for topics, which are really good, and some examples. So definitely use those if you need to. And then a sample of what MLA style looks like for format. This is format.source documentation. They're two different things. So the format of your essay, so that would be what it looks like on the page in the document, needs to be like this. And then the last thing in the module is to submit the essay. So you will submit the essay file here. Make sure that you double check the criteria. That's the easiest way to make sure you don't lose points, is to just double check that you've met all of the criteria points. That is what you are graded on. So I'm going to use the rubric as well, so you can kind of make sure that if you want a good grade, that that your essay sort of meets the exemplary, competent description underneath the grading rubric. So that is the first module. I know this video just went a little bit long, but that's okay. So if you have any questions, you can always reach me by email. During the summer, I have limited office hours, so if you call my office phone, I probably won't respond right away. It may be a full week before I respond. You can text me. My cell phone is on the front page, but email is the easiest way to get a hold of me because I also get my emails on my phone. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you have any questions at all, make sure that you are reaching out to me right away, and hopefully you do well on this first module. And